Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the regular scheduled board meeting of President and Board of Trustees, the Village of Tinley Park, Cook and Will County, held on Tuesday, December 19th, 2023, beginning at 6:54 p.m. Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's okay, Bill, you're kind of quiet on that. Give you some. Madam Clerk, you call the roll?
Trustee Brady?
Here.
Trustee Brennan?
Present.
Trustee Mahoney?
Present.
Trustee Mueller?
Here.
Trustee Shaw?
Present.
Trustee Sullivan?
Here.
President Claus?
Present, thank you. Next, we have item number 1. I'd like to ask the board for a motion to consider approval of the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Dennis. Madam Clerk, you please call the roll.
Roll call for item 1, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Item number 2, I'd like to ask the board for a motion to consider approval of the minutes of the regular village board meeting held on December 5th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Roll call for item 2, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Now we get to the sad item. Next, we have item number 3. I would like to ask the board for a motion to please consider adopting Resolution 2023-R-150, recognizing the accomplishments of Deb Melchert, Tinley Park volunteer, upon her retirement.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. This resolution will recognize Deb for all of her years of dedicated volunteerism to the Village of Tinley Park upon retirement. Tinley Park Resolution 2023-R-150, a resolution recognizing the accomplishments of Deborah Melchert, Tinley Park volunteer. Whereas Deborah, who is known to friends and family as Deb, was born and raised in the Roseland neighborhood of Chicago. She married Robert in 1979, and together they raised 2 sons, Bob and Dan. They moved to Tinley Park in 1986. Whereas Deb quickly grew to love the community and first got involved in volunteerism after a friend asked if she would help out at the Dare Fest in 1993. When she did such a good job at the event, she was asked to join the Dare Committee shortly thereafter. And whereas it wasn't long before Rita Brudd, our former chairperson of the Community Resources Commission, then known as Human Resources Commission, asked if Deb would be interested in joining, thus beginning a long and storied history of service to a community that has spanned decades. Whereas, through her work with the Community Resources Commission and later the Marketing Commission, Deb has been a very active volunteer who has helped out at numerous village events throughout the years, including holiday happenings, the Irish Parade, the Downtown Tinley Boo Bash, and Tinley Park block parties. She has been a member of the American Legion Auxiliary for 16 years and the Patriot Guard Riders for more than 20 years, and is also a founding member of Post 615 Legion Riders. And whereas the village is eternally grateful for Deb's dedication to service, for serving her community, and wishes her nothing but the best in her retirement. Now therefore be it resolved by the President, Clerk, and Board of Trustees of the Village of Tinley Park, Cook and Will County, Illinois, that Deborah Melchert be celebrated for her years of dedicated volunteerism to the Village of Tinley Park, adopted this 19th day of December of 2023. Signed by myself, Mayor Michael Glotz, Clerk Nancy O'Connor, Trustees William Brady, Dennis Mahoney, Kenneth Shaw, Bill Brennan, Michael Mueller, and Trustee Sullivan. And one other thing to read, unfortunately, who has been a mentor to many of us, is Mayor Zabrocki. He asked me, it's unfortunately he could not be here. He wanted me to read his speech to Deb. So thank you, Mayor Zabrocki, for asking me to read this to Deb. I apologize for not being able to be here this evening, but my wife and I will both be out of the area. This is a very special day for Tinley Park, one of joy and one of sadness. Debbie Melchert has been a member of this community for many years. Also, for as long as I can remember, she has been the first to volunteer, the first to support Tinley Park, and one who takes Tinley Park into her heart. Whether it was the Human Resources Commission, one of our veterans organizations, the farmers markets, or any other volunteer needed, Deb was the first in line to offer help, and we celebrate her commitment to our community. I respected her for her opinion. She told you what you should hear and not what you wanted to hear. Refreshing in today's society, but sadly her volunteer efforts in this community come to an end. But more importantly, not her spirit or her example, which will remain in Tinley Park for a very long time. As she and her family move on to the next stage of their lives, we wish them well and Godspeed. But we also thank her for Debbie Melchert's mark that she leaves in Tinley Park. Once again, thank you, Debbie, for being Debbie Melchert, and God bless you and your family. Respectfully submitted, Edward J. Zabrocki, Mayor 1981 to 2015. Before we
If I may, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I've got my mentors with me. I've got Rita and Mike O'Connell. I had to bring those guys with. So, Mike, the trustees, thank you for the kind words. They're very greatly appreciated. I also need to say thank you to the other 3 mayors, multiple trustees, police chiefs, the DARE officers, who, with you, all had the faith and confidence in me to let me serve for so many years. I would be remiss in not thanking my husband, who is home with my sick grandson. The oldest son is in Amsterdam, and the youngest one got called out back to work 15 minutes after he walked in the door.
Oh.
So that's where my family is tonight. I have to thank them because they held down the fort at home while I was busy volunteering, but they also helped out on multiple occasions. I have to throw a special shout out to my husband, or for that fact, any husband who doesn't complain when his wife spends the day before, the day of, and the day after their 25th wedding anniversary at the Christmas market. So special shout out to him and my oldest son. I'm hoping before I die will forgive me for making him wear the Dare and the Dare Lion costume and the Rudolph costume. But sometimes teenagers need help volunteering for things. But it's been a long journey, but a journey I have not taken alone. As I mentioned to you, Mike, in my letter of resignation, you need a reason to stay involved and committed to something for so long. My reason was my fellow commissioners and so many others that I've worked with. Specifically, I have to name Rita Broad, Mike Catrano, El Seegers, Don Budney, and Ron Santani. Those 5 individuals are some of the most dedicated and hardworking friends that I know. Their love of Tinley Park has no end. And for the record, all of them have volunteered a lot longer than I have. Between those 5 and myself, we have volunteered for somewhere between 225 and 240 years of service to the village. There's many more, too many more to name, but I need to thank everyone from Donna Framke, Sue Paul, the Marketing Commission, Public Works, for letting me help, the friendships that have developed from that. So now I look forward to attending meetings as a member of the public, so be forewarned. And enjoy some of the things like carriage ride and the photo lights that in 30 years I actually haven't seen or done. So, but we will be back. Tinley will always be our home. And thank you guys for everything and having the faith in me to let me stick around for this long. Thank you again.
Deb, would you come up to the front?
Sorry, Debbie.
Are you surprised I'm not dead?
Go to the center.
The most amazing part is after 30 years, I should have stayed.
Denise, would you guys mind taking a picture with her as well?
I'm serious. Is there someone here from Public Works?
John Urbanski.
Where's John?
He's hiding.
If you ever need anything, your guys run into parts you don't need, check with them. Cause I put good money down, if you needed a flux capacitor for flying floors, I just got one in his truck.
Get in the center?
My partner's. Well, I got something to hang in the new house.
You guys ready?
Here's a paper one. I'll show you. Here's from Mayor's Rocky. Very nice.
Send pictures to my son and daughter. Cause that's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Sorry.
Thank you all again.
Congrats.
Thank you. Aren't you wearing green?
I'm gonna go throw this stuff in.
I saw him.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 3, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, item 4. May I have a motion to consider approval of the consent agenda items?
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
Thank you. Consent agenda has been publicly posted and available for review on the agenda for the meeting. Would anyone from the board like any of these items removed from the consent agenda tonight? Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 4, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 5, trustee Bill Brady.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like the board consider adopting ordinance 2023-0-080, approving a purchase and sale agreement for the property located at 17348 South 68th Court.
Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Go ahead.
The ordinance approves the purchase of property located at 17348 South 66th Court in the amount of $265,000. This item was discussed at the committee of the whole meeting prior to this meeting. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions from the board? Any comments from the public? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 5, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Item 6, trustee Mahoney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I get a motion to adopt ordinance 2023-0-081, granting variations for a freestanding sign to advocate outpatient center at 18210 LaGrange Road?
So moved.
I'll second it. Thank you. Go ahead, Dennis.
Thanks. The petitioner is requesting variations to permit replacement of a freestanding sign in the B3 zoning district. The Plan Commission held a public hearing on December 7th of 2023 and voted 5-0 to recommend approval of the requested variations in accordance with the plans and findings of fact as listed in the staff report. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Dennis. Is there any questions from the board? Any comments from the public? Madam Clerk, you please call the roll.
Roll call for item 6, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item 7. Trustee Bill Brady.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to the board consider adopting ordinance 2023-0-082, establishing a one-day of paid leave policy for part-time employees.
So moved.
Thank you. The ordinance
Is there a
establishes.
second?
I'll second that.
Sorry.
Thank you.
The
No.
ordinance establishes a one-day of paid leave policy for all village part-time employees effective January 1, 2024. This item was discussed at the committee of the whole meeting prior to this meeting, and this ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. Any questions from the board? Any comments from the public? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 7, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Item number 8, Trustee Bill Brady.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like the board consider adopting ordinance 2023-0-083, amending pay scales and certain fringe benefits for employees for the fiscal year ending April 2024. April 30th, 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Brady.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you. Go ahead, Bill.
All right, sir. The ordinance amends the established pay scales for Appendix B and Appendix C, beginning May 1st of 2023 and ending April 30th, 2024. This item was discussed at the committee of the whole meeting prior to this meeting, and this ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Any comments from the public? Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 8, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item 9. Mr. Shaw?
I'd like to move that we consider adopting ordinance 2023-0-067, levying taxes for corporate purposes for the Village of Tinley Park, 2023 tax levy year.
A second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ken.
Property tax levy request for 2023 will be in the amount of $30,484,487. This amount is unchanged for both the village and the library from the prior year's levy requests. Since the overall levy increase is less than 5% of the prior year's extended levy, publication of a truth in taxation notice and public hearing are not required. The proposed 2023 levy was discussed with the village board at the committee of the whole meeting on November 21st, 2023, and the library board on November 30th, 2023. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Is there any questions from the board? Any comments from the public? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 9, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Motion carries. Again, just thank the board for not raising the tax levy. Item number 10, Trustee Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to also move that we consider adopting ordinance 2023-0-68, abating a portion of the 2023 tax levy requirements as provided for in the bond order dated June 5th, 2013, in connection with the issuance of $11,340,000 in general obligation bonds, Series 2013, of the Village of Tinley Park, Cook and Will Counties, Illinois, as amended by the Certificate of Reduction of Taxes heretofore levied for the payment of bonds dated December 2nd, 2021.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ken.
The 2023 tax levy requirement for this bond issue is established at $740,250, and the village is in a position to abate $423,023.26 of this levy from the following sources: hotel and motor tax debt service reserve, $296,100; the sewer fund, $105,744.71; Stormwater Management Fund, $13,228.27, as well as the New Bremen Tax Increment Financing District Fund, $7,950.28. The net levy for this bond issue will be $317,226.74. This abatement item was provided at the Committee of the Whole meeting held on November 21st, 2023, and this ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Ken. Any questions from the board? Any comments from the public? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 10, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you. Item number 11, trustee Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that we consider adopting ordinance 2023-0-69, abating all of the 2023 tax levy requirements as provided for in the notification of sale of general obligation bonds, Series 2021A, and taxable general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2021B, and the direction for abatement of taxes dated December 2nd, 2021, in connection with the issuance of 8,940,000 general obligation bonds, Series 2021A, of the Village of Tinley Park, Cook and Will Counties, Illinois.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ken.
This ordinance abates all $745,400 of the 2023 tax levy requirements for the Series 2021A bonds as contained in both the notification of sale of general obligation bonds, Series 2021A, and the taxable general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2021B, and the direction for abatement of taxes dated December 2nd, 2021, in connection with the issuance of the $8,940,000 general obligation bonds, Series 2021A. The bond issue supports infrastructure improvements for the village water and sewer system, and the abated debt service will be paid by the utility revenues of those funds. This abatement item was provided at the Committee of the Whole meeting held on November 21st, 2023, and this ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Ken. Is there any questions from the board? Any comments from the public? Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 11, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 12, trustee Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that we consider adopting ordinance 2023-0-70, abating a portion of the 2023 tax levy requirements as provided for in the notification of sale of general obligation bonds, Series 2021A, and taxable general obligation bonds, obligation refunding bonds, Series 2021B, and the direction for abatement of taxes dated December 2nd, 2021, in connection with the issuance of 5,965,000 taxable general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2021B, of the Village of Tinley Park, Cook and Will County, Illinois.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Go ahead.
This ordinance abates a portion of the 2023 tax levy requirements for the Series 2021B bonds as contained in both the notification of sale of general obligation bonds, Series 2021A, and taxable general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2021B, and the direction for abatement of taxes dated December 2nd, 2021, in connection with the issuance of the $5,965,000 taxable general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2021B. This ordinance abates $164,976.74 of the 2023 tax levy requirements of the $197,750 for the Series 2021B bonds, leaving $32,733.26 as the remaining 2023 tax levy amount. Combined, the abatement directions provided within ordinances 2023-0-68 and 2023-0-70 leave a net total debt service levy for the Village of Tinley Park of $350,000, excluding the Tinley Park Public Library, which has remained unchanged since tax year 2009. The sources and amounts of the funds to support this abatement are as follows. Hotel tax debt service revenue, $79,100. Surtax capital project funds, $51,970.52. Sewer fund, $28,248.58. Stormwater management fund, $3,533.80. New Bremen TIF district, $2,123.84. This abatement item was provided at the Committee of the Whole meeting held on November 21st, 2023. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Ken. Is that it? Do you have anything else to read?
Ken, I didn't get that. You do that again?
Yeah.
I thought Community Development and Public Works had some long ones.
Holy smokes. Can we vote on that, please?
Any questions from the board to Ken?
Aren't you glad you took finance over?
What was that middle part?
Any comments from the public?
I didn't quite hear him, so.
Could you repeat that?
Madam Clerk, you call the roll.
Roll call for item 12, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 13. Ken, can you tell us about it again?
I sure can. Mr. Mayor, I can read it much slower if you'd like.
Later, you can tell me.
I'd like to move that we consider adopting ordinance 2023-0-71, abating a portion of the tax year 2023 Village of Tinley Park property taxes extended for the 18501 Convention Center Drive, Tinley Park, Will County, Illinois, Development Incentive Agreement for the Tinley Park Hotel and Convention Center.
Second.
Go ahead, Ken.
In July of 2017, the Village of Tinley Park entered into agreements with Elementary School District 159, Rich Township High School District 227, and the Harp Group, Inc., related to the hotel property located at 18501 Convention Center Drive and attached to the village's Convention Center facility. The Harp Group purchased the hotel property and requested assistance with regard to the significant property tax bill for this location. Under these agreements, the three governments, Village, District 159, and 227, will abate 50% of the respective government's property taxes extended for the property for a period of 10 years, or a cumulative and collective $4 million in abatement, whichever comes first. This ordinance represents the 6th year of abatement, and a copy of the ordinance will be filed with the Cook County Clerk. The two school districts will provide similar direction for their respective abatement to the Cook County Clerk. This abatement item was provided at the Committee of the Whole meeting held November 21st, 2023. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Ken. Jason Freeman just let us know that he couldn't hear you.
It's in writing.
Any questions from the board for Ken? Any comments from the public? Madam Clerk, he's off the hook. Call the roll.
Roll call for item 13, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you. These are the kind of items we like. Item 14, Mr. Brennan.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion, consider adopting ordinance 2023-0-084, amending Title 12, Chapter 77, Section 10 of the Tinley Park Municipal Code entitled Pedestrian Soliciting Rides.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Trustee Mahoney. To comply with the Illinois state statutes on an amendment to the Tinley Park Municipal Code entitled Pedestrian Soliciting Rides is being requested. This item was discussed at the committee of the whole meeting held prior to this meeting, and this ordinance is eligible for adoption.
That was quick. Any questions from the board? Any comments from the public? Madam Clerk?
Roll call for item 14, trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Trustee Shaw.
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Item 15, trustee Brady.
Yes, like the board consider adopting ordinance 2023-0-086, amending Title 11, Chapter 116, Section 116-09 of the Tinley Park Municipal Code regarding maximum stay lengths in hotels and motels.
So moved?
Second.
Thank you. Go ahead,
Thank you.
Billy.
The ordinance clarifies penalties for any person, firm, or corporation that violates our maximum stay length for hotels and motels. This item was discussed at the committee of the whole meeting held prior to this meeting. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. Any questions from the board? Any comments from the public? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 15, trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Trustee Shaw.
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 16, I'd like to ask for a motion to consider adopting ordinance 2023-0-087, ratifying policy regarding unscheduled intercity buses for the Village of Tinley Park, Illinois.
So moved?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion was held on December 7, 2023. Mayor Glotzen, sorry, I read that, felt like Biden. Mayor Glotzen, Clerk O'Connor signed an executive order delegating authority to the police chief to implement a policy regarding unscheduled intercity buses to protect the health, welfare, and safety of the passengers in the community. This ordinance adopts and ratifies the order and policy. This item was discussed at the committee of the whole held prior to this meeting. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call on item 16, trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Trustee Shaw.
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan.
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item 17. You all right, Bill?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I'd like to ask for a motion to consider adopting ordinance 2023-0-088, adopting and ratifying rules and regulations regarding unscheduled intercity buses for the Village of Tinley Park, Illinois.
So moved?
Thank you, Bill.
Second.
Thank you, Dennis. On December 15th, 2023, Mayor Glotzen, Clerk O'Connor signed another executive order delegating authority to the police chief, Tom Tilton, to implement a policy establishing rules and regulations for unscheduled intercity buses to protect the health, welfare, and safety of the passengers and community. This ordinance adopts and ratifies the order and policy. This item was discussed at the committee of the whole held prior to the meeting. This ordinance is eligible for adoption. Any questions from the board? Any comments from the public? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 17, trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Trustee Shaw.
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan.
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Item 18, trustee Mueller.
I move we consider adopting Resolution 2023-R-155, approving an agreement with Tria Architecture, Inc. for Harmony Square.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Staff is seeking approval of the amended professional services agreement with Tria Architects, Inc. Original PSA required insurance adjustments as shown in the current draft and are agreed upon by both parties' legal representation. Please consider appending an agreement with Tria Architecture, Inc. This item was discussed at the Committee of the Whole held just prior to this meeting and is eligible for adoption tonight.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Any comments from the public? Madam Clerk, please call the roll for item 18.
Roll call for item 18, trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Trustee Shaw.
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan.
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Item 19, trustee Mueller.
I move we consider adopting Resolution 2023-R-156, approving a contract between the Village of Tinley Park and Robinson Engineering for professional services for traffic light signals at 80th Avenue and Timber Drive.
I'll second that.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Currently, there are no traffic signals located at the intersection of 80th Avenue and Timber Drive. The village has pursued the installation of traffic signals at this intersection in the past. However, the plans were not prepared with the signals being interconnected with the railroad crossing signals, which is a requirement of the Illinois Commerce Commission for approval, nor was an intersection design study prepared, which is also an ICC approval requirement due to the intersection's close proximity to the crossing. Please consider awarding a contract to Robinson Engineering in the amount of $120,000. This item was also discussed at the committee of the whole meeting just prior to this meeting and is eligible for adoption tonight.
Thank you, Mike. Just any questions from the board? Just like to mention, as discussed in the cow, 9 years ago, 2014, Senator Hastings came to a board meeting, held up a fake check, took a photo with Mayor Zabraki and the board that they were going to pay for a traffic light at Timber Park, or Timber Drive. Those funds were never appropriated, and now 9 years later, we sit having our staff having to do it, so thank you, John. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 19, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Item 20, trustee Mueller.
I move we consider adopting Resolution 2023-R-157, approving a contract between the Village of Tinley Park and Primera Engineers for helipad improvements, construction engineering services contract.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
The village utilized the Illinois Department of Transportation's qualifications-based selection process in selecting the engineering consultant to assist with the design, cost estimate, bidding services, and construction oversight for the helipad aircraft pavement improvements project. Primera's professional construction and engineering services includes shop drawing reviews, preparation of supplementary sketches and cost estimates, material certifications, preparing record drawings, pre-construction estimates, material certifications, preparing, I think I went down the line, conference organization, daily construction observation, field testing, final inspection, and preparation and providing public works periodic project reports. Please consider awarding a contract to Primera Engineers in the amount of $230,850. This item was discussed at the committee of the whole meeting held just prior to this meeting and is eligible for adoption tonight.
Thank you, Mike. I don't feel bad. You did it. You did it, Joe.
There was
Any
no
questions from the
breaks
board?
in that sentence.
Any comments from the public? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 20, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Next, we have item 21, trustee Michael Mueller.
I move we consider adopting Resolution 2023-R-158, approving an agreement between the Village of Tinley Park and the Illinois Department of Transportation for helipad improvements per intergovernmental agreement for project TF8-5050, local share payment approval.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Go ahead.
The village entered into an IGA for project TF8-5050 with the Illinois Department of Transportation, Rebuild Illinois Airport Capital Improvement Program that was approved by IDOT. The village is required to pay the local share amount of $239,038.74, which is 20% of the overall project costs. Please consider approving the agreement with the Illinois Department of Transportation in the amount of $239,038.74. This item was also discussed just at the committee of the whole meeting, just prior to this meeting, and is eligible for adoption tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mueller. Any questions from the board? Any comments from the public? Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 21, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 22. Can I have a motion to please consider adopting Resolution 2023-R-159, providing for and authorizing landing rights to Santa Claus in the Village of Tinley Park?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Resolution 2023-R-159, a resolution providing for and authorizing landing rights to Santa Claus in the Village of Tinley Park, Cook and Will County, Illinois. Whereas the United States Federal Aviation Authority, more commonly referred to as the FAA, is responsible for all flights and landing operations in the continental United States and therefore requires precise coordination for any and all domestic flying. And whereas in the past 67 years, thousands of man-made objects have been thrown into the atmosphere around this planet, thereby further complicating the safe movement of any flying machines and/or sleighs. And whereas the Illinois State Department of Aviation directs that local authorities establish the necessary approval for any flights to land within the state, except at registered airports, and soon to be a helipad. Whereas the sheriffs of Cook and Will County further delegate that authority when properly approved to the municipalities of those counties. And whereas any miniature sleigh with 8 tiny reindeer shall designate the first reindeer to respond to landing signals with his blinking red nose. Whereas said sleigh shall be full of toys and will not exceed the air travel weight load limit. And whereas the driver shall be a jolly old elf of outstanding character and shall have in his possession of a good flying record. They will be exempt from the last ordinance we passed. Now therefore be it resolved, if that's okay with the chief, there be resolved, the president, clerk, and village board of Tinley Park, representing the great citizens of the community, provide Santa Claus with all approvals necessary in whatever order required to land at the homes as often as he deems appropriate. On Sunday evening, December 24, 2023, and Monday morning, December 25th, 2023, where Trustee Brady will provide cookies. Be it further resolved that the police department, the public works department, and other municipal agencies shall provide speedy and helpful assistance to guarantee St. Nick's movement throughout the world. Past this 19th day of December 2023, signed by Village President myself, Michael W. Glotz, Clerk Nancy O'Connor, Trustees Bill Brady, Dennis Mahoney, Kenneth Shaw, William Brennan, Michael Mueller, and Colleen Sullivan. Are there any comments from the board on Santa Claus?
For the citizens of Tinley and all the children, we thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome.
The children at heart. Yes, the children at heart.
We'll be waiting for your cookies. Madam Clerk.
Could I have a point of order there?
Yeah.
Maybe the board could correct, it isn't a miniature sleigh and tiny reindeers. It's a full-service sleigh with large reindeers. So that might need to be corrected.
Okay.
Point well taken, sir.
With Rudolph.
Was your text fuzzy?
As long as the chief doesn't stop them.
No matter what size it is.
Yeah, are they stopping for donuts?
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 22. Trustee Brady.
Absolutely, yes.
Trustee Brennan.
100% yes.
Trustee Mahoney.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Trustee Shaw.
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan.
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item 23, receive comments from staff. Pat, anything more on your reindeer?
No, I'll let them know.
Okay. We're on the right side. Mr. Dunn, thank you for attending tonight.
Yep, Chief Claus wanted to be here, but he couldn't, so.
Thank you, Chief. That's it. Next, we have item 24. Receive comments from the board. Would anyone from the board care to comment? Mr. Brady?
I would like to wish all of our citizens of Tinley Park and surrounding areas to wish them a very, very Merry Christmas. Be safe and be happy and enjoy our coming year. We have a lot going on here in Tinley.
Thank you. Anyone else from the board?
Just like to echo what Mr. Brady said. Merry Christmas, everyone. Holiday party was a great success for the village staff. Great job on that. So looking forward to 2024 and Merry Christmas to all of our residents.
Mr. Shaw?
Just Very briefly, I'll say ditto to what they had to say here. The comments that I gotta make here have to do with the very long-winded ordinances that we passed earlier tonight. Didn't want to extend them by actually saying something about them, but I will take a moment here, largely because there were so many words in there that I think it's going to be lost on a lot of people in the public. I would just like to really emphasize the fact that we are holding the levy flat, and with all the language that's in there that may not be clear, the village board and the mayor, we've opted not to raise taxes on the community. With a lot of the, and quite frankly, I'm not telling anything that anyone in this room doesn't realize, so this is for the recorded audience out there. A lot of folks are very critical and questioning a lot of the actions that we take, and question taxes, yet I have not, since we held our meeting a while back and we made this decision, and then it came to the board, I have not heard or read a single comment, one way or another, on this. So I'm just emphasizing this fact that we as a board have chosen to take this step. Many of the other items that were in there had to do with tax abatement, and I won't bother trying to go into the details there, except that if you look at the details, what that really rolls down to, and the fact that we're not raising taxes, it has to do with good fiscal management, good governance. And that's something that we and the staff don't often get a lot of credit for. I do wish that I could sometimes have the opportunity to read some of the more interesting and fun ordinances that go. But considering how long this was, it could be lost on people, just the importance of it. Some of the other items that were discussed tonight, I made a comment at the committee of the whole meeting earlier. We passed a lot of really important ordinances tonight related to public safety. I won't track through them, but I wholeheartedly agree with them. And I think the critical element to them is going to be some sort of mechanism for monitoring and enforcement. It's something I've said before, and I think that is going to be key to a lot of the things we do here in this town coming into 2024. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Anyone else?
I'd just like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. I think we had a great year this year. I look forward to next year. I know we got a lot of things in the pipeline that are scheduled to open, start moving on. Being part of the marketing commission, I've seen the great events that are lined up, so it's always nice to look forward to all the events that we have to bring families together, the community together. So I hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. That's it. Just like to echo what you guys were saying. Wish everyone a Merry Christmas. Thank you to all our staff, our volunteers, our first responders. We had a great year, and late last night I received an email which, again, goes with everything that we've been doing. Received an email from Cisco. They stand for the Construction Industry Service Corporation, and this is a very, very big deal. They sent me an email last night inviting me to receive the award in January for Public Body of the Year for the Village of Tinley Park and Mayor Michael Glatz. So congratulations to our board, our staff, our team, all our developers. Without all of us working together, we wouldn't have got this award. This is a great award. Previous meeting, we got the award from the FFC for RISE certification. So thank you, everyone, and keep up the great work. This is a very prestigious award to receive, and very difficult to get. One municipality got that in the state of Illinois, and it was us.
Wow.
So, good job, everyone. Thank you. That's it. We will move to item number 25, receive comments from the public. Anyone from the public here? ask the board for a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss B, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. Do I have a motion?
So moved?
A second.
Second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned and we will not be coming back. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone.